I get it. Starting a business isn't easy, especially if you're working with a small budget. Today we're going to talk about how to start a business on a minimum budget, so let's jump into it. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Lewis Pike here. Before we jump to the video on how to start a business with a small budget, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, and also make sure you click the little bell to make sure you get notified each time I drop a new video. So let's jump into it. So I get it, starting a business can be daunting, it can be scary, especially starting out. And in most cases, if you're starting out, you don't really have a lot of money to work with. So you want to make sure that the money that you do have, that is going towards helping to grow your business. So we're going to talk about some ways of how you can start a business, get some exposure, and start it with very little income to make sure you grow and scale that business. All right, so let's jump into the first thing. So the first thing that you can do to kind of get some exposure, and I'll start with these three just to get them out the way because these are probably the most common things that are talked about. You can do it by starting either jumping on these platforms, and it's free to get exposure and create content on these profiles. So Instagram, Facebook, or even using a platform like this, YouTube. You can push out and pump out as much content right now as easily as it's ever been. I mean, literally, like you can grab your cell phone and you can start recording or go live on these platforms, all three of those platforms, to get content out and start building an audience, start, sharing your thoughts, sharing your progress, or kind of sharing what business or what niche you're going into to help build your audience. I mean, anyone can start this. Like I said, it's as easy as ever, and we don't know how long this is going to be possible. I mean, even if you look back, 5 or 10 years ago, it wasn't as easy to get content out, to get yourself out there, to tell people about what you're doing, to grow a following, to grow an audience, to build a brand. It's a lot easier these days, so we should definitely take advantage of it. And it doesn't cost you anything to do this. You can pump out as much content as you want, and it's hosted on these platforms. All you have to do is continue to push that out, find your audience, and get them to either opt into your email list so you can continue to market to them. Another way to do it is, this brings us to number 2, is starting a podcast. Like, you can literally, if you're not comfortable and getting on video or talking quite yet, starting a podcast is a good way to talk to your audience and they can hear it via audio. You can hop on a platform, a free one out there that a lot of people use. Gary Vee actually, he's an investor of this platform. It's called Anchor. So you can go on Anchor, you can literally set up your podcast there, record it there from Anchor. They do the hosting, and it'll push it out to all of the places: iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere where podcasts are played, you can put it on there. And that's a good way to start building an audience. If you get on there and you get a podcast and you're starting to do this either daily, do it weekly, the main thing with starting a podcast is making sure that you stay consistent. The second way to do it, or actually that brings us to number 3. The number 3 thing that you can do if you're on a minimum budget that doesn't cost anything is set up a profile on medium.com. Medium.com is a great substitute if you don't want to pay for a blog or pay any hosting costs for a blog. Then you can get on medium.com. It's free. And again, that's another way to talk to your audience, to start building it up. And you can do this by writing. So if you're not comfortable with video, I gave you the option for that. If you're not comfortable with audio, then you can hop on Medium as well to start writing and talking to your audience. Okay, that brings us to the next step. So the next thing you can do is another way to get yourself out there, to get some publicity, to get some free PR, is helpareporter.com. Go on there, set up a profile, and you can start getting some free PR on these websites. So we just talked about 4 ways that you can get started today if you're starting on a minimum budget. So we just talked about 4 ways that you can start today if you're starting on a minimum and small budget. And all the ways that I've named so far doesn't cost you a thing. The only thing that it costs you is your time and consistency that you're putting in. So the first thing that we covered is you can get on, start on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Start posting content on there daily, whether it's videos, whether it's posts, whether it's quotes. Start posting content on there daily. I prefer using the video aspect of it, whether you're doing pre-recorded or you're going live on there. That is a good way to build up a follow. And I suggest just picking one of those platforms and starting with it. When you're just starting out, it's going to be hard to try to get on all 3 unless you come up with a plan or a system to repurpose this content to go on all three, but it's going to be hard and overwhelming to start on all three. So just pick one, whichever your audience you feel like is the best to talk to, and start there. The next thing is, we talked about starting a podcast. You can start a podcast is a good way to get out content, put it out consistently, and start building a following. And then the last step that we talked about is getting, well, actually not the last step. The next step that we talked about was creating a profile on medium.com. This is where you can go start a blog, no cost. You can start today writing content to talk to your audience. And then we talked about helpareporter.com, where you can get on there and get free PR. So then we talked about 4 ways where you can start building and putting out content right away to reach an audience. Now those things are great for putting out content and getting exposure, but there's something you need to do if you're going to be putting out content. And this is where most people mess up, is they don't have a strong offer. And I like to go by a simple strategy that I've heard from several mentors or several people that have been really successful, is how the perfect way to put an offer out is, how do I get to X and not having to do Y? So how do I get to X by not having to do Y? So for example, is if I use one, I'd have one for my debt. So how do I set up a budget without having to eat rice and beans? You know, that would be an example of one. Or how do I pay off my debt without having to cut back my lifestyle completely? Or how do I work from home, or how do I work from anywhere in the world with just using a laptop? You know, those are things of how do I get to what I want without having to do why. You know, another example could be is, you know, if you're in the business or you're in the entrepreneur space, is how do I get constant leads coming in without having to go door knock? Or how do I get leads? How do I get appointments coming to me without having to call or cold dial? So basically, you want to create a solid offer for these people. So you're getting the message out, you're getting in front of them, but you want to get a solid offer that's put in front of them. You're building an audience and you're putting out content, and you got a solid offer. Is you want to get in front of the right people. So this is where you niche down and kind of find like who you're talking to, who is the audience that you want to talk to. So I know, for example, with my content that I'm putting out, I specifically want to talk to people who are wanting to better their lives. So that's all aspects around, increasing their income, paying off debt, maybe starting a business to bring in additional income. So a lot of mine evolves around paying off debt and increasing income to live a better life. And those are the people that I want to talk to, the people that are specifically in that area in their life that are wanting to do that. So that's my specific audience. So you need to figure out who is the audience you want to talk to, and start putting out that content and start writing the content for that audience and getting a solid offer for them, for that audience, because that's going to be key. All of those things are going to be working together. You got to put the content out there, but you got to have a solid offer. Once you get a solid offer, you got to make sure that you're talking to the right people and that you're putting that offer in front of the right people so they take action on the offer that you're actually putting out there. Because none of this works if you're not talking to the right people and you're not putting the right offer out to the right people. And then last, like this is the mistake that I see a lot of people doing. So this is the part, everything we talked about up until this point doesn't involve any money. But this part will. And this is where you want to put money into it. Once you get this dialed in, you get a consistent content schedule out, you start building up an audience, you're talking to the right people, and you get a solid offer out there, and you start to see some results. This is where you want to take money and start putting it back to your business to help scale that. And what I mean by scaling that, if you're putting out all this free content, if you want to scale that and grow that, once you get something that's solid, it's working free, it's working great organically, then if you're going to put money into it, then that's where you want to put it in back into the business to help scale it. So you want to look at maybe doing some paid advertising, some paid Facebook ads, some paid YouTube advertising, some paid Google advertising to help grow and get your message out there further to even a stronger reach. But again, you want to, make sure that you're getting it out to the right audience. You're getting content that's out there to your audience, and it's a strong offer out there. You're just using the money that's coming in so far that came in organically, none paid, to help grow that and build that and help grow it a lot faster. Because once you get that solidified, then it's okay to put money into it because you know that you're going to get results on the back end. And then from there, you can go in and we can go in and get even deeper to going into how you can fine tune that to make sure to understand your numbers, increase that, optimize it, get a stronger return on investment. Those things will come later. So if you guys enjoyed this video, again, thanks for checking it out. So do me a favor now, I've dropped a link in the description. I'm going to be putting out more content, but I'm also going to be coming up with a membership. I got a free opt-in for you guys to join in. If you guys want to get on the list, I'm starting a digital systems academy where I'm going to be going through more techniques like this to show you guys how to build a following, how to build your list, how to grow your audience. So click on the link below. Like I said, it'll be in the description for you to opt in and get on the wait list. And once we launch it, you will be notified. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. Again, this is Louis Pike here, and I will see you all on the next video. Have a good one.